So hey, it's Des. So yeah, recently I made a tweet just saying like after I can't remember what game it was. It might have been most likely I think it was the PSV game or the Southampton game, but whichever one it was. My point was was that I'm not gonna panic about what's happening right now because we've had a great start to the season, a fantastic start to the season. It's a title winning start. You know what I mean? So I'm not gonna complain too much, but some of these things and some of the excuses that was coming out of it when we were talking about officials or talking about our Europa League and all this sort of thing, or we're playing 2 games a week and all this sort of things. These are things that are going to be happening consistently. So for me, I wasn't taking those as excuses. And what I've said was, when you look at the Leeds game, the Southampton game, the PSV game, there's a pattern that's starting to set in. And I'm not saying that we're messing up or anything like that, but there is a pattern that's starting to come in. And I feel like it's a pattern that I've had a feeling that this could come, but not right now, but in the second half of the season, once fatigue starts to set in. Because I feel like the depth is not enough. And if the depth is not enough, in terms of depth and quality, it's not enough in the second half of the season when your players are starting to fatigue, because you can drop in form, players can drop in form due to various reasons, maybe injuries, fatigue. The team overall can start to dip in form, concentration could start going. Just like players can be tired, you know what I mean? Anything can happen. And unless you have the depth to ensure consistency, you're not going to be able to continue to maintain the sort of quality that we've been able to perform it with throughout the start of the season, because the way we started the season has been elite. This is not a normal start to the season, and this is not a start to the season that's going to be very difficult to maintain if you don't have the right quality. And that's the reason why when I started seeing all of this dip, for me, I didn't expect it to happen so soon. I thought it would happen in the second half of the season, as I mentioned already. And when everything starts to combine, you're playing more games. There's a lot more games and being a lot more fixture congestion. And the Europa League game and the league game altogether, and players starting to get tired, form situation, players not playing, performing, players coming out of the World Cup. All sort of things can happen, which can lead to these sort of things. But we're starting to see a bit of sign in that, especially coming off Europa League and then playing in the league and seeing that we're not able to perform at the right intensity that we normally do. Seeing how players are starting to dip in form, like Martinelli, for example, hasn't consistently performed recently. Anyways, against what was the last game? Nottingham Forest, he scored, but even the performance wasn't the same as the performance that he was having at the start of the season. So we're starting to see little dips in form and stuff like that. We've just seen a Saka injury. You know what I mean? So these are the kind of things that I mentioned when I'm saying that they could be happening towards the end of the season. And the pattern really has been whereby we're going into this games, we're dominating the ball because our style of play is to dominate the ball, and the teams can't prevent us from dominating the ball. But we then lack the efficiency. We're not able to get the goals. We also don't have the option of the bench to change the game. We only have Nketiah off the bench. We're trying to change the game with fullbacks as well because we don't have any other attack off the bench. Obviously, Nelson helped against Forest, but that's not something that's not a go to. That's not a consistent go to. You know what I mean? It's not like a consistent player that we know if anytime we go to him, he's going to offer this to us. And then we only have Nketiah off the bench. And the thing is, when you're having this game where you're not efficient, you're dominating the ball, you're not taking your chances. These are Premier League teams. They're gonna start to build confidence because you've kept them in the game long enough. You haven't been able to score. They're not just gonna sit back the whole game. At some point, they're going to start to build confidence. They're going to start to build momentum. And in that sense, then they can start making their counterattacks. Then they start gaining confidence. Then they start stacking you. And most likely, these things can lead to goals. We saw it happen against Leeds, Saints, and Southampton and PSV. We were lucky against Leeds. We weren't lucky against the other two, and they took their chances. You know what I mean? So, the thing is, in the second half of the season, when teams start to fatigue and a lack of form start to set in, you might not be able to get out of this rut. You could end up in a situation whereby you maybe you draw in this game and then the next game you don't have the right energy or the right momentum to all the players to switch or bring them in. A player's out of form, but you have to keep on playing him, and then the player is low in confidence because he's not performing. But there's nobody to change in to even give the team new life to get, which starts to have an effect on the overall team's performance. These things can happen, especially in the second half of the season. That's when you're chasing the title. When also the thing is not just fatigue, not just the injuries, not just out of form as well, but the fact that your teams are chasing you from behind, especially if you're in the front, or if you fall behind, you start to panic because the team ahead of you just keeps on winning and you can't close the gap. It's just all these sort of things are the kind of things that can derail our season, which is why I'm saying, as I said, we need more quality. We need more. Yes, we're performing well, but we need more quality. We're desperate for quality. What we have is not enough. It's not enough at all. We only have Nketiah off the bench. That's not, we can't accept that going into, once it's January, we have to sign a winger, we have to sign another forward. We need another player that can do something, another player that we can go to. It can't just be Martinelli, Saka, Gabriel Jesus, and then hope that Nketiah does something, or hope that Nelson does something, or hope that Marquinhos does something. We need something. We can't also just stay there waiting for Smith Rowe to not be injured for one season. We can't do that. We have to go get something. Come on, man. This. We're looking at a season whereby we're performing, and we have high hopes for the season. The way we started this season already, like we've just been winning and winning and winning in the league over and over and over again. Yes, we dropped against PSV, we dropped against Southampton and United, but besides that, we've been having a great season. We need to be able to maintain this, and I hope the team can address this. Partey is another one as well. We can't just believe that this guy is not gonna end up injured somehow. Yes, we want to have faith that he's not going to injured. Yes, we don't have the right quality to replace him, but what we can do is we can replace what he does defensively, because the most important thing from him is that, yes, he's an elite player because he can defend and he can distribute as well. He's all-round top-class defensive mid, probably the best defensive mid in the league. But what we can replace is what he offers defensively, because nobody else can offer that to us. Yes, maybe if he's not playing, we lose the ability to split the ball from deep. Sure. But we've got defenders that can build a play. We've got Gabriel, Saliba, Ben White, Tomiyasu, Zinchenko. We've got defenders that can build up play, that can help us to progress the ball between lines and then in deep areas. So we have that part covered for him. What we don't have covered is a defensive mid that screens in front of the back line, and he needs to get a lot more credit for what he does defensively. Because when you see a lot of times what he does on the ball, his distribution, his long balls, all these sort of things, give him a lot more credit for what he does defensively, because you can see the difference when another player is in there. It's a massive difference, and we need to ensure that, because at the end of the day, when we end up having to use Lokonga in there, and then he starts getting so much blame for not being able to do things that he's not able to do. He's simply not a defensive mid. That's just not what right now, he just can't play that role. Maybe in the future he can, but right now he can't. Get someone in there that can play there, and then allow Lokonga to have a bit more freedom playing as an 8 to develop his game. He's still a young player, so he can start getting, all this criticism that he's getting. It's not needed. Yeah, that's what I think we need to do. We're lucky that, as I said, this dip that I'm seeing that's happening recently, we're lucky that it's happening with only 3-4 games left in the season. I think 3 games left in the season before January anyways. So hopefully those games happen. We get some players get a rest before the World Cup. We come back and play the last 2 games. We go into January and we get the players we need. But anyways, thank you guys. See you in the next video.